rural development, the importance of how USDA can help more in broadband. We added money in broadband, we'll go over that. And again, stop me anytime you want to, please interrupt me. But let me just ask your thoughts. I was in Zapata, for example, and I was talking to the sheriff there, and I asked him, hey, give me your opinion of what's happening at the border. Because, you know, a lot of it's what you see with the young kids and the families. And then from there, you know, there's also different scenarios. And I'd like to see what y'all are seeing here in Stark County. For example, the sheriff, I was up there in Zapata a couple of days ago, he says now that they get 2 to 3 chases a day. And that is from smugglers who are trying to get people in. LaSalle, the sheriff was telling me there that there many days they get 6 to 8 chases a day. And what they're seeing now is the bad guys are using college or even high school kids from San Marcos and Houston, for example, to come in and to try to smuggle in people. And that unfortunately will ruin the lives of those young people. And I know we got some of the school officials here, but we're seeing that. And basically, if I can break down the sectors, you have the Del Rio sector, you have the Laredo sector, and then you have the Rio Grande sector. In the Del Rio sector, you see, you still get a lot of Mexican single adults, but you get mainly there, you get a lot of Cubans, Haitians, and Venezuelans. In the Laredo sector, you get more the Mexican adults, the single adults. Some family units, some unaccompanied kids, but they're mainly single adults. And we're still using Title 42. Again, Title 42 is a 1944 law, public health, saying that if you're a threat to our health, we're going to return you back. So adults are being turned back under Title 42. Then you come to the valley and you get single adults, mainly, and then you get family units and unaccompanied kids. In February, we had 100,000 people that were encountered by Border Patrol. That doesn't include the getaways, you know, the people that we don't see and get away. 100,000. If the average peyote charges $4,000 to $10,000, but let's say $6,000, average 6,000, that's $600 million that they made on that side without even selling drugs over here. So Title 42 is still being used. Just got off the phone with the Mexican ambassador, just got off the phone with the Guatemalan ambassador, and one of the things that, you know, that I feel is important to work with those countries to get them to hold people from coming over here. Work with them, work with them on jobs, hopefully some sort of guest worker plan where we know who comes in, who goes back, and work with those countries. Guatemala, as you know, the president there just issued a decree that will hold some people from coming in from Honduras, from Guatemala's southern border, not Mexico's southern border. Just got off the phone again with the Mexican ambassador. We want to talk about what else we could do, because I think the key to all this is to work with those countries, because once they come over here, the wall's not going to stop them, right? Because if you put a fence, how far is the fence away from the river? Some places half a mile, and I hear my Republican friends, without due respect, oh, you got to have that fence back, but it doesn't stop this type of individuals, because the moment they hit the riverbank and they walk up to the fence, they're already here. I mean, they're claiming asylum on that, and so again, we got to be smart on how we do it, and a lot of it, what we do in those countries, is going to be very, very important. So, real quickly, because I want to spend more on the Recovery Act, I just want to hear your experiences here in Stark County. Anybody? Just want to hear what y'all see. Judge?
Congressman, I guess I'll go ahead and lead off. no secret as to the situation that we have here in the valley and specifically in Stark County, where we're getting groups of over 100 coming in, and as soon as they come across, they turn themselves in to immigration or law enforcement.
Would a wall stop them?
No, sir. No.
Right.
I think, you know, and I've been interviewed on several occasions and asked, what do I think or could help? And it's really tough. I think what you all are doing, what you're doing, is certainly a good solution. That's to help those countries so that they can keep those people at home. One. The second thing that I think maybe we would need more help, especially from Washington, is to get Mexico to help and cooperate with us. If they could stop 50% of the people that are coming in from Central America at their southern border, I think then it'd be more manageable for us here. But right now, like you mentioned a little while ago, that's big business for Mexico, and I think that's enticing them to let them come across. But I think if Washington would apply pressure to the Mexican government, that would certainly help us over here.
Right. And Mexico, and they could do a lot more. I'm telling you, they can do a lot more. They've done it in the past. If Mexico now started sending, they got the Guardia Nacional in the southern border with Guatemala. They sent some of their immigration officers, so they're starting to do that. They've done some raids to send people back, but they can do a lot more. And hopefully Guatemala, they put out that decree there. It shows that they're doing a little bit more, but they can do a lot more. You're absolutely right, because once they come here, I mean, look, once the kids are in our hands, we got to take care of them. They're like our kids. And by the way, who received their stimulus check? Anybody? Okay, all right. Sam Bell didn't get his because he's too rich. Where is Sam Bell? I'm just kidding, but what is it? $1,400. Some places where we give the kids at, and we got to take care of them, education, healthcare, and all that. I can tell you, $800 a day to keep one child, $800 a day. In 2 days, they've gotten more money than what you have gotten. In 2 days. 800 times 2, 1,600, you got 1,400. So again, we want to be helpful and compassionate, but it does cost money. And I tell some of my liberal friends, I'm a Democrat, but you got to look at it. Sometimes the Republicans go too far right, the Democrats go too far left. You got to find some practical way of addressing this issue. The politics, try to take the politics out of it. Just look at what do we need to do. And remember, we got new sites in San Diego, we got in Dallas, in West Texas, in Carrizos. They're about to open up a second place right now. In Carrizos, in San Antonio, Lackland, and Coliseum. And some of them charge a little bit less, but if it's an emergency, the emergency will cost $800. The last time it cost $1,000, but let's say about $800 a person a day. Do the math. In Carritos, 952 spots, and by the way, they pay all the beds, whether they're there or not. Okay, it's an expensive. I want to be compassionate, but I just want people to understand that in 2 days, a child would have gotten what your stimulus is all about. And this is what I've been telling the White House. If you notice, back in December, I don't see Sandra Sanchez, but back in December, I was already talking about this. I said, hey, I've gotten a briefing that the cartels are saying under this new administration, it's going to be open. Come now. They market it because the more money they make more money every time they bring a head on that. A person they bring in, they make money. That's it. I mean, that's what was happening. So back in December, we were saying, look what's happening down over here on that. So, Judge, you're right. I mean, you're right. We got to do something. We play defense not on the 1 yard line, but on their 20 yard line. Any other thoughts from anybody, ranchers or mayor?
I believe that we need to be the ones who drive the narrative for the valley as a whole, because unfortunately, the not something new that all of a sudden now we're experiencing. We've had these surges before under different presidential administrations, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. But how do we find that solution where both Democrats and Republicans can actually work together and address the issue or the root of the cause? Because whether it's immigration reform and truly address it, whether it's been Democrats that have been under control or Republicans, we truly have not had true immigration reform since what, the Reagan years? So how do we address it now, as opposed to continue to have it 10 years later, or 10 years in the future, we're going to be talking about the same banding solutions to what we're doing now. So, and what I've seen is, going back to the narrative, the Rio Grande Valley as a whole, you're talking about such a wonderful place to live, to work, and towards this American dream. You're looking at, what, 11 international ports of entry, billions of dollars in trade, destination anywhere USA. You're talking about we're becoming the green energy capital of Texas, and you're looking at first top-notch hospitals and schools, and our identity is bicultural, binational identity is a source of strength. And we have a strong and young workforce. So and that is the narrative that we need to communicate, as opposed to the Rio Grande Valley being a lawless or anti-law enforcement. But no, the truth is that border communities are overwhelmingly in favor of securing the border. The question is simply how. What is that right mixture of personnel, infrastructure, and technology, and establishing clear policies as to how to address it. So again, that's something that behooves us, all of us, to continue to communicate that, hey, we need to be the ones driving that narrative and not have somebody from DC just come to us, be here for a few days, take a few photographs, tour a few facilities, and declare themselves border experts, which we know that's not the case. Because if you live long enough here in the Rio Grande Valley, we've experienced this before. Again, now, we dealt with immigration, obviously immigration issues, the human trafficking, as well as arms and drug trafficking. And those are things that we need to continue to emphasize, of course. And we have every conceivable law enforcement initiative to date. We have Border Star, Lone Star, Stone Garden. In addition, we have special crimes units and high-intensity drug trafficking areas program.
DPS
So
officers.
DPS, I mean, you see them everywhere, obviously, like Texas State version of Lone Star. So we are doing what we can to address this. But again, I reiterate that point. We need to keep driving the message that the valley as a whole is a great place to live, and not have this perception that we're anything but a great place to live. No. And immigration, obviously, it's one of those issues that you don't score any political points for it. But however, we needs to be addressed, because if not, we're going to continue to see that. So on our end, we do need the resources, and we do need a clear policy. Of course, Border Patrol, Customs, the federal departments, they do a great job. And we've had good relationships with them, and we're going to continue to have those relationships, because a secure community is a prosperous community. I strongly believe in that. And by and large, which again goes back to border communities not being safe, which is portrayed at the national level, which is not true. Border communities are some of the safest communities in the entire nation, but unfortunately the perception is otherwise. So again, whatever you can do on that end, Congressman, and ourselves too, right, that we need to do our end to continue to promote a narrative that the valley is, again, a great place to live, to work, and towards its American dream.
Right, and absolutely, you're absolutely right on that. I always put the FBI stats. I got the latest ones there that show that the border is a lot safer. I mean, we do have issues. We have issues, I understand, like any other place. But the border is a lot safer than Washington, D.C. When people ask me, hey, what's the most dangerous thing about the border? I said, when I get in a plane and I fly to Washington, D.C., and I'm not talking about the politics, I'm talking about the crime rate. The crime rate. I mean, in Washington, the murder crime rate is 2-3 times higher than what it is here in Rio Grande. And if you look at my website, we have the latest. We'd be happy to provide you. We were just looking at that yesterday. We can send it over to you right away, but it's right. And this is what I've been saying. Vicente Gonzalez, Solomon Vela, myself, we're saying, we listen to us at the border. Let the border be helpful to y'all. Because again, I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican, just coming in, spending a few hours here, taking a couple of photos, That doesn't substitute for a lifetime of experience that you all have here. It doesn't. It doesn't. But some people feel it's like me going and saying, I know what's good for the northern border, New York and Canada. I don't know. I'll depend on, the people that live there. I think they know it better. And this is what I've asked this administration and other administration, listen to us at the border. You're absolutely right. Do we have issues? Of course we do. But is it safer than other places? Darn right it's a lot safer. We have to drive the narrative, is what I've been saying on TV. Listen to us at the border itself. Like, for example, the monies that I added for reimbursements, the NGOs, the counties, and the cities. As you recall, some years ago, the humanitarian relief, Governor Perry, Governor Abbott were blocking that. So what I did in 2019, I said, you know what, we're going to bypass them. So we set up a mechanism now where we put $30 million, and that $30 million would go directly to the cities and the counties that are helping. In fact, on April 1st, we'll have probably tomorrow afternoon a presser on that. Application should be ready, should be open. We're hoping on April 1st, so if a city or a county is helping with humanitarian relief, that money's there. So there's still $4.5 million from the first $30 million, and we added $110 million under this bill, the relief. So there's almost $115 million available for the NGOs, for the cities and the counties that provide assistance on that. So I want to make sure Stark County, if you're providing with humanitarian relief, we do it. So what do? We just bypassed the governor. It wasn't only governor of Texas, but it was any states. But, it was happening. So I told the White House, and they were saying, well, Abbott is blocking some FEMA money. I said, well, forget about that. If he's blocking that, and I understand they're still talking to him, there's another fund that we can use to help the cities and the counties and the churches and the NGOs to help if they're doing that. So that's what I'm saying. That idea was locally based, and we implemented that into the law. That's why I'm saying, like you said, both of y'all, listen to the local community. Some people take that as a criticism. I take that as just listen to the people that live on the border. Don't come in and tell us, what we have known for a long time. Look, and I'll say this, and then I'll take one last question, then I want to go into ag. I'll say this. Notice what happens. Democrats have their own delegations. Republicans definitely have their own delegations, as you can see here recently. I think there was one last week, and I think there's another one here. All Republicans. Why can't we have people together, Democrats and Republicans? Why can't we? I want to hear what they have to say. They can hear what I have to say. But notice what everybody goes to their corner. Everybody. I mean, look at the delegations. And that's what they do. One last question, and then we're going to go, well, maybe two, and then I want to go into that.
I'm a property owner and I'm trying to do some, I retired from the USDA. And I'm trying to farm, and in the past, and it goes back, again, just back to this piece of property. I have irrigation rights and what have you in the past, and off and on, whatever. Those two people don't live on the border, on the bank of the Rio Grande. Cannot say what I go through. My family sometimes at night, when it's dark, when it's full moon, you can see, but when it's not, you're in fear that illegal activity comes over and all my perimeter fences on my farm are gone because they knocked them down. So how about some tax break for property owners that went to work that piece of property?
What sort of tax break?
Yeah, property taxes, lower them or whatever because of the activities or whatever. So I can maintain it. And I don't say, we just let it move. Why?
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I talked to a lot of ranchers, a lot of folks that live in the rural area. I was with some yesterday afternoon. And yeah, they do say, remember, Border Patrol, the response time, they do a good job, but in the rural area, it takes a little bit longer. And that's something that we need to work on. Property taxes, you guys have to talk to your locals, I don't know. But that is something that, we certainly want to make sure that we provide any assistance from the federal government property taxes, that's, outside of line thing. But that is something that we certainly want to be helpful to the folks in the rural areas. Look, quite honestly, if you talk to some of the rural areas that have been around for a long time, some of the ranchers, tell me if the folks that you used to see years ago, is it different from the ones you see now? In the old days, it used to be, hey, dame un poco de comida, agua, y te ayudamos aquí. They used to come in and then take off. Now it's a little different. And I've heard that from so many ranchers, so many folks out there in the rural areas. It's a little different, folks coming in. I mean, that's just the truth. And if anybody disagrees, tell me if it's different on that. But thank you. We'll follow up. I know one, and then one more, and then I want to talk into the USDA. So, and then the recovery, because we do have some checks that will be announced.
Oh,
Well, over here, and then with Rose. And then after that, if you don't mind, we'll continue.
Yes, sir. Pastor Luis Silva with Bethel Mission Church here in Roma, Texas. I just want to thank you. You're the only congressman that steps into Stark County and he's trying to do something. I lean more on the conservative side, but I can tell you I will be very outspoken on both sides of the aisle whenever they don't do their job. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you constantly coming by here and trying to make your best efforts to help our county. Fortunately, I can tell you this county is a lot of times forgotten by everybody. Washington shows up only in Mission, Texas, in those areas, and then try to allocate as much as they can in those areas. As far as I'm concerned, we do have a crisis here. I have walked and I have seen people from the edge of the river up until they turn themselves to immigration. Our church, on 2019, provided a lot of food. We fed the migrants to try to ease off all the attention that our immigration officers were having, because they were on the 700, on the 1,000 people groups. Me and Ramon from La Pistolera, and Clarissa, we gathered with them many times, and we've seen all over the area, we've seen them walking all over the place. Regardless of the wall, I mean, like you said, they step into the country, they're already in, so there's a problem. But I've seen they've been deterred from the Fronton side this time to the Roma area, kind of near by the bank. I've seen a difference because I have driven in the 3 o'clock in the morning hours, trying to check out to see how the church can help. But like I said, I appreciate you being here, and our church has operated just with no funds from anybody in the government area. We have worked with sponsors from other churches and other ministries and even some companies. And my question will be, how can you guys help? Because the way that is being put is after they are touched and then they are taken that's when you allocate the money. But before that, in the middle transition from the river to immigration, we face a different situation here in Stark County. You know, like I said, last night I saw a 3-month-old baby that was carried from the raft. I saw him coming in. And obviously our immigration officers can't do anything about it. Media has asked why they don't arrest the guys that they're bringing them in. And situation is that if they try to, then kids are gonna go in the water and who's gonna be the blame? Our immigration officers. You know, so I see that our immigration officers' hands are tied because decisions made in Washington. And we pay the price down here. Not just the ranchers, but our community. We say that we have a country that's shut down, but it's truly open because everybody's coming to the river. And the ones that can enforce the laws, their hands are tied. I mean, I've seen it personally, and what I'm trying to say is that Washington is responsible for the actions that they've taken up there, and we are paying the price down here.
When you, just so I can understand this better, when you say the officers' hands are tied, what does that mean?
Meaning is that they cannot arrest people, they cannot do what they are supposed to be doing as law enforcement. You know, they are doing more of like a humanitarian thing, you know, they can, I mean, you see the guys, they can see them maybe from here to where you're at, and they can do anything in our offices. You know, I mean, yo siento como que nomás están pintados prácticamente, y necesitamos que ellos hagan su trabajo, que la frontera esté segura. I almost got beat up on my own property by two guys that came into my property during the day. They were being chased by immigration. See, I mean, and I'm a pastor, and I'm 19, I helped trying to lease off with the officers, but this time, last year, I almost got beat up. I mean, I feel safe, but I don't feel safe.
Right.
And so I just see that I think that law enforcement, they need to be empowered. But thank you, sir, for everything you guys do.
Thank you. A couple things, Pastor, and again, one, love to have, because I know we've talked about the, you do something right here at the very, very beginning. So we'll have the United Way, or the board, should I say, contact you to make sure that, if you don't want to take any government help, that's up to you, but see if we can help you with that. And I asked them if there's a way we can expedite this a little quicker, because this program that started is on our FEMA, but it goes directly to the local NGO. So I do want to follow up on that. On the officers, I assume you're talking about Border Patrol, hands been tied. Just keep in mind that there's three categories of people coming in. On the single adults, they get them and they return them mainly under Title 42. So those folks are coming in. Unaccompanied kids, as you know, if you're a young kid from Mexico or from Canada, it's quicker to turn them back. Contiguous countries, it's a 1998 trafficking law. And then if you're outside of those two countries, then it's a different system. The kids have to come through the Health and Human Services. It's a different process. Family units, somebody figure out that if you bring a child from those countries, then more likely not you're going to come into the United States. So there's three categories. So it just depends which categories. For single adults, it's a different thing, totally different. And especially they do the biometrics and there's criminal background. I mean, they don't let go of those folks for sure. So it's the unaccompanied kids and the family units that we're looking at. Now, Mexico, as you know, does take some family units, and even the President Biden said, we're working with Mexico so they can take more family units back itself over there. So hopefully that will happen, and I know there are calls being made today. You'll hear about it in the news with Central American countries. You'll hear about it later on today. And I'm not going to say until it happens. So there's more to do more on those countries. But again, on that work that you do, we thank you, because you know it's NGOs or churches like you that do a lot of that work along with the locals. But we will have somebody get a hold of it. Make sure we follow up. I'm sure Nick is here. Nick will follow up on that. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. One last question, and then I want to go into ag. Just wanted to spend a couple of minutes on immigration so you can see how difficult it can be. Rose?
It's a combination of a question and a comment, and I know we're hearing a lot of people that are here in the border, and I think that one of the things that's important to underscore and that is important to discuss is that we've been trying to partner with Border Patrol to find different alternatives to this problem, like property. You know, we talked about, you know, people are willing to give you right-of-ways for lights, for roads and things to ease some of the concern of potentially not necessarily having a wall, but having a line of defense that assists Border Patrol in that. And one of the things that is probably even more critical is the fact that everyone here is talking about the same thing. Nobody here is against border security, and nobody's here about trying to find a way to make it easier for people to cross illegally. This is simply a way to find an answer that allows local resources to partner with state and federal resources that actually bring a solution and not create or manufacture more crisis.
Right. And thank you for that, Rose. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything but the wall. Technology, roads, pain eradication. There's so much technology out there. Just we just gotta move a lot faster. We've been talking about, they're talking about taking the aerostats away, because it was too expensive, and I said, well, that's your own fault, because I kept telling them that, you know, you get a surplus from the military, and then they pay a contractor, you know, the big ones, $5.3 million a year for one. And they say, well, it's too expensive, well, it's your own fault, you know, for entering that type of contract that paid those people too much money. So we're working on that, but certainly, you know, I want to see everything except for the wall. Bottom line, we want strong border security. Plus, not only play defense here in the 1 yard line, but sometimes it's too late. Because I mean, you know, the moment they touch the riverbank, that's it, they're in. We got to work with those countries, and that's why I was on the phone with those ambassadors earlier today on the way out here on that. So why don't we, if it's okay, thank you again. I just wanted to, every time I travel, I want to hear what community members have to, and I know some of y'all send me a video from Stark County, in the middle of the day, people crossing, you know, I think it was 83 at one of the businesses. So anyway, why don't we have, Mr. Gomez, you want to come in? I want to thank Mr. Gomez. I know you got, now if you can talk about the person that's going to be here full time. Keep in mind, USDA, I sit on one committee, 3 subcommittees. Ag, which has oversight over USDA, and now I have a fellow, which is somebody, I asked for a rural development higher upper at headquarters that will be placed in my office. So we now have this expertise from headquarters. Now we can work with a local folks. Then of course Homeland, I got a Homeland Border Patrol agent that's been with me now 5 years. And then I get also a military person, which is Nikki Ward. I'm sure some of you have talked to. She's a nurse with the Air Force. Anything on COVID or anything, she's the person to talk to. She's been telling us, for example, how many vaccines, the 3 different vaccines go to the state of Texas. And then, of course, the vaccines are then distributed by the state of Texas over here. At the beginning, if you remember, Judge, we talked about it. It's getting better because there's more vaccines. I called the governor's office and I said, let me get this straight. Member of Congress and appropriations, we provide the vaccines, we provide the money. National Guard, we pay for all of that. And then I have to call and beg for vaccines for over here. And as you know, you push hard, we've been pushing and they're coming in, but there's more vaccines under the Biden administration that are being developed and sent. So we're now getting to a point where anybody that will ask for a vaccine will be able to get a vaccine. I know the governor said that, I think yesterday, but the actual production of the vaccines are getting there. And we're doing that now, so I feel a lot better now with more of the vaccines coming into the state of Texas so we can get them here to our Stark County and other places. But the ag plays a very important role, and I'll just say this. They can either help you individually, you know, let's say rehab your house, $10,000 loan, grant, or up to $40,000 a loan, 1%? 1%, yeah, which is pretty good. So they can either help you directly, and I know you all talk about how many families you've helped here, and that's money that will come in and help families directly, or programs for cities, for counties. Water, we've done a lot. I think the largest grant that I've had in my district since a member of Congress was here in Stark County. How much?
La Gruya, $12 million.
$12 million grant on that. So, I mean, there's monies that they can do as a program. I know we're working on the Stark County Courthouse, and hopefully we'll have some news on that. But or individuals. So I want to have Ms. Gomez come up here and join, and then maybe both of y'all can come here. We'll talk about that, answer a couple of questions. We want to be helpful. Broadband, I know we added money for broadband. That's what we got to focus on, broadband, because the pandemic showed us a deficiency, either for business or certainly for students or individuals. Showed us that we got to do a lot more on broadband, and we got some money on that, and I'll talk about other monies that we have here. So why don't we go ahead and have
Thank you.
everybody knows that Mr. Gomes.
Thank you, good morning. Want to say that rural development is one of the only agencies that's dedicated just to helping rural communities. I passed out these pamphlets, and it has a snapshot of all the different USDA rural development programs, whether it's business, water, or housing. But without the help of Congressman and always being a champion for rural communities, Pastor was saying, you know, we need people to fight. Congressman has been fighting in the past. Our budget has been zeroed out. He always makes sure that there's money put back into it. So we're very grateful. And Stark County is a county that's taking advantage of all the programs that we have. One of the things that I wanted to announce this morning was Roberto Rodriguez used to work at our Rio Grande City office. It was closed down, I think 2007. So he's been commuting to Edinburgh ever since. But we always maintained a presence here. We always kept an office here. We would send a person one day out of the week, you know, to have some office, meet with the families, and try to take care of the needs of all the people from Stark County. Well, I moved him here full time. He's working out of that office full time.
Thank you very much.
And if you all know him, you all know that he helps anywhere from 70 to 80, maybe 90 families a year with our home improvement grants, with our Colonia grants for individual water, sewer hookups, $10,000 grant for elderly people that need roofs, plumbing, you know, just minor repairs throughout the house. And we all know who they are. Every community has an old part of town that has elderly people on fixed income. So how do we make it work? So Robert is just one person. Now, he's got the backing of the Edinburgh office, but in communities where it has really helped is where there's buy-in from the community, there's somebody from the church or from the community helping these elderly people fill out applications. So when he gets it, it's complete, and guess what? He can get the money, get the contractor to start working immediately. But I'm gonna let him introduce himself and what he's doing and talk about the programs that he works with.
Thank you all for coming in. I'm Roberto Rodriguez. I'm from here, from Rio Grande City. I graduated from Rio Grande, as well as Roberto is a native from Rio Grande. And that's the good thing. We're trying to help as many families in Stark County. The good thing is Stark County qualifies for almost all of our programs, okay? From water and waste, community facilities, business, multifamily, and what I'm doing right now is trying to help single-family owners, family owners, with individual loans and grants. Okay, we have two particular programs. One of them is it's called a 306C, and that's basically for water and sewer for individual households. Okay, we can pay families to tap into water or sewer if they don't have them available. Let's say we help them with the program water and waste, and then the family needs a bathroom or connect to a water meter. If they don't have one, we can pay for those taps, okay? Either water and sewer, and also we can help rehabilitate or make a handicap shower for the elderly, okay? So we've been helping a lot of families in colonias. That particular program was intended for colonias only across the U.S.-Mexico border, 150 miles inside, okay? So that program only qualifies as colonia residents, okay? So if you live in La Grulla, Rio Grande, San Isidro area, Roma, all those families that have sewer or a septic system and they want to rehabilitate their bathroom, we can assist with that particular program. That's a grant, $5,000 grant, okay? So a lot of elderly want to rehab their bathroom into a handicap shower, we can do that. But they also have to meet income guidelines, okay? So we've been assisting a lot of families with that particular program. The other program is a 504 loan and or grant, like $10,000 grant, up to $40,000, loan, 1% interest for 20 years, okay? So 1% interest, no one can beat that, not a local bank, no one can compete with that, I even want myself a 1%. So we can rehabilitate a dwelling with a roof, shingles, insulation, sheetrock, windows, doors, flooring, etc. Okay? On that particular program, you have to be the owner of the property. You have to be clear with the taxes. We check credit as well. But people that are 62 years or older and cannot show repayment of debt, we can give them a $10,000 grant. For those particular programs, like Joel was saying, I see a lot of local leaders here. Okay, you can spread out the word and also can help us complete that application for the elderly, for the families, because, I mean, we have a package, it's a complete application, so sometimes they don't understand what to fill out or the questions, and we also need copies. And the thing right now, due to COVID, we're sending applications via email or by phone. We also have curbside assistance. They can go to the office, we can step outside and help the families. But in this case, I still have local leaders. If you can help us in your community, if you have BBC or someone that can assist those families and bring a full application to our office, we're glad to help those families with those particular programs. And Starr County can be very proud that we lead the whole state, probably the nation, in helping those families here. So helping your constituents, Rio Grande, Starr County, Roma, Escolares, San Isidro, La Guia, everywhere. Okay? And we also have another program which is a single family housing. That's for new construction, purchase of an existing house, teachers, nurses, they can apply for those programs as well. The interest rate on that one is 2.5 right now for 33 years. So that's a single family housing dwelling that they can apply to. Okay. And I know that the county has a first-time home buyer assistance right now. So that's coming handy with our program, helping those families pay for the closing costs as well. Okay. So we just need your assistance as well, spread out the word to your constituents, and hopefully we can assist them with a loan or grant for a new house.
And Congressman, just real quick, he said something that, you know, where we're leading the state and possibly the nation. That's what made it easy for me to get him here. Okay, he's from here. We actually played baseball together a long time ago here in Rio Grande City. So it was easy because we always had the presence here. There at the Rio Bank at the USDA Center, we have a little bitty office, but now it's his office, and he's meeting with people pretty much every day, all day, even though we have some restrictions right now because of COVID. But I can already tell that once everything's lifted and it's coming, we're getting into the different phases of reopening. Once that happens, I think this program is going to take off and even hit new highs. But one thing I wanted to tell the judge and Mayor Villarreal is up to $10,000 grant. And if you're 62 years old, and if you get a loan, and that loan is under $7,500, that means it's a signature loan. A lot of our elderly people, and you all know this, they're very hesitant to put down their home as for security purposes, because that's the only thing they have. But when you do a signature loan, under $7,500 plus $10,000 grant, and even in some cases, up to $5,000 for colonia, bathrooms, sewer hookups, water heaters, whatever, you can see now why he's so busy, why a lot of people go looking for him. So if we continue this, but have some buy-in from some of the stakeholders, I think we could even do more.
Right.
So very happy to announce Roberto's here full-time. And I don't know if there's any questions for him or not, but that's what he'll be doing here in Starr County.
Before you take any questions, the more the mayors, the county judge, the city commissioners, the county commissioners, city members, the more you can do to bring people to Roberto, the more money. I mean, bottom line. You know, it's good to send emails and all that because, you know, the COVID, but I mean, it's nothing like the person to person. And if you want to help your constituents, the more people you can get directly to him, once we open up. I mean, right now it's a little difficult because of COVID, but I mean, you can actually bring constituents that qualify as long as you know what the qualification is. And this is the best way to help people directly. I mean, there's other things that we'll give the county or the city, water systems, but if you want to help somebody directly, this is the way to do it.
And if you have somebody in your staff that you can say, you know what, we can designate this person to call some people, help some people, we can train them also and just let them know how to profile these grants, because we're not gonna help everyone, because there is requirements. But if we can do that, it makes our job easier, so we can just spend it reviewing and approving versus, you know, profiling people, that people just send to us.
Right.
So, you know, working smarter, not harder.
Right.
So, thank you, Robert, for everything that you do and you're gonna do. I think everybody will get to know him better, as he'll be here every day. Real quick, going back to, some of the other programs. We've had drainage programs in Roma, a big water program in La Gruya, business programs here in Stark County with Dalinda and the EDC, business loan at Casa Adobe, energy efficiency programs. The city, we just did some bunker gear for some of their firefighters, a small grant. Rural development has a lot of different programs. Congressman always says that we can build a small community from the ground up, and we really can. In Stark County, I think we've done just about everything.
Underground.
Bottom of the ground, that's right.
I used to say from ground out, now it's underground all the way up.
Yeah, well, Roma is perfect,
Yeah.
some drainage projects. And so, but without the support of the congressman, we couldn't even start having these discussions. We're working on a big project with Stark County, with their courthouse. That application is almost complete, so hopefully we'll make him a good offer that he can't refuse,
Yeah,
right,
like
Congressman?
We'll play the Godfather music.
Yeah, so, we're hoping, also some drainage projects that the judge I know, has wanted to look at, as well as several other projects that I know he's gonna be, reaching out to you, Congressman, but, because of COVID, things are difficult right now. I have, my card, we have information. If somebody wants a meeting with their community, we'll make it out here. If we can just, you know, follow the restrictions, or we can get on a phone call. We can talk about any programs that we have. I don't know if there's any rural water people here, but because of these past winter storm, that we had, Congressman, we now have some, monies for generators for rural water supply corporations.
That's a good
and
idea.
or small cities, under 10,000 that have their own, water or sewer plants. So I encourage you to reach out to us. I've got a bunch of cards here. We've got some information. We even have some applications. We'll stick around. Again, it's good to be home. I see my sister Norma there, our librarian. A lot of familiar faces. Joel has known her for many years. So it's good to be home. It's good to have these programs, to be able to offer. Sometimes you can do things on your own better. That's fine. Just always consider us, because I think our interest rates are good. They're long-term. We have grants. We have guaranteed loans. Just about everything. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm available right now or afterwards. Yes, sir.
I have more of a comment, and that's certainly to thank the congressman. I know he's always been very pro USDA, like you mentioned, and we appreciate that, Congressman. But also I want to thank you personally. I think you have been a tremendous asset for Stark County. You're always available, you're always willing to help. And I know that Stark County, like you said, has gotten a tremendous amount of financial help and guidance from you and your staff. So we're sincerely appreciative. Robert, one question. The county has a federal and state program office. I would like, maybe whenever you have an opportunity, if I could send maybe a couple of girls to meet with you.
Sure.
So you can go over all the programs that are available, so we can go ahead and disseminate that into the community.
Right? Fantastic. Definitely. Yeah, fantastic.
I'm from La Grulla. I live in La Grulla. I was born there. I know a lot of people have, older people need a lot of help. I wasn't aware of all the information that you have given us, Mr. Rodriguez. I have a Facebook page that is followed by almost 14,000 people, and the judge sent me information from the post there because of the wide spread distribution that it has. Can I get some information from y'all?
Yeah, sure, I can give you my email, or you can give me your email, I can send you that information.
And we
as
can
soon as
send you
possible.
some fact sheets that are easy, just has a snapshot of the different programs that we have.
Yes.
And once he's open full-time, we'll give you his schedule.
Let me just say that we're currently helping like 10 families out of La Grulla, the city of La Grulla. You could talk to any individual family from there, and I'm sure they have been assisted from us, but I know that there's a lot of need there, and hopefully we can help more families.
Thank you. Thank you. Roberto, thank you so much. And Mr. Gomez, I want to thank you because I get to work with a lot of good folks. There's one of the best, it's right here. I mean, he cares. He's been traveling with me to different places but I can tell you that, I've got 9 counties, but I can tell you that Stark County probably has gotten more money from USDA than any county in my district. And again, it's for accommodation. There's a lot of need here also, but you also have folks like Mr. Gomez here who has just been outstanding. Like I said, the largest grant that I've got in my whole district has been here in Stark County, and we hope to do more to come also.
Hopefully not for long, right?
Hopefully not for long. All right, thank you so much for that. Sorry, I'm looking at, okay. Let's talk about the last part, about some of the monies. You should have done monies that are coming here to Stark County, have some rules on it. Then you should have a breakdown of the bill that we passed. Very, very detailed. Do you have this one also? This is very important because it covers details. If you haven't got this, make sure that you get a copy of that. So this covers the money. This talks about all the different programs that we have. And again, I just want to go over some of the aspects. First of all, the $1,400, as you know, in addition to the $600 that we did in December, $1,400. If you had direct deposit, you should have gotten that money. Otherwise, you should be getting monies already. And if you haven't, let us know. We'll work with you to make sure you haven't got your stimulus money. We also put $300 for unemployment benefits. Originally it was $600, but as you know, we want to help the people that are unemployed. But if you put too much money, some people would say, well, I make more money staying home. And it was hard to get the small business to get some of the people back that they were making more money at home. So we brought it down to a balance level of $300, so we federal supplement on that. We also have, for people that have young kids, a child tax credit that's fully refundable. Fully refundable, and we increase the size. So it's $2,000 per child. Now it's going to be $3,000 if you have a child under 6. 3,600. And again, if you know anybody that has small children, you got to take advantage of this child tax credit. It's very, very important that you take a look at that. We also added money, $20 billion, to establish the national COVID-19 vaccination. We're now getting so many vaccines now, and we need to do a lot more. We're pretty much, Texas, if you look at the numbers, Judge, Your vaccines that y'all gotten here compared to what it was a couple months ago, it was terrible. I know we talked about it, I heard from y'all, but we're giving a lot more vaccines to the state of Texas to make sure that they are distributed. So we added more money on vaccines. We also, besides testing and tracing and all that, we also added more money into the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. Again, if you know any small business, take advantage. If you don't take advantage of that, somebody else is going to get the money. Bottom line. Bottom line. So, this is important to make sure that we get the businesses going. As you know, it covers also churches, church, not-for-profit, to make sure that we help people that need help so they can keep their business going, so we can open up and have customers, because the best thing we can do is bring customers back. That's the bottom line. We also added a special fund of $25 billion for restaurants. There's some money for restaurants, because restaurants got hit hard. They got hit hard. So there's extra money there for restaurants also. We also added $130 billion for our public schools. And again, we want to make sure our schools are safe, in the sense that for our teachers, for our custodians, for our cafeteria workers, for our students. But at the same time, we got to open up our schools. Because I don't know about you, but I used to be the type that I used to sit in the front. Some of y'all might be good online, but I had to be, well, we didn't have online when I was growing up, but you know what I mean. I like to sit in front and listen to the teacher. So that's why if you look at the monies that are going to the schools, they can go to repair ventilation systems, reduce class size, implement social distance guidelines, purchase personal protective equipment, hire support staff to care for the students' health and well-being. And again, I'll talk about the monies for our schools in a few minutes and how that's supposed to be coming down. We also added $40 billion for higher ed, as you know, Rose. And under that, half of that will go to students. That is assistance for the students. So that way, if you have a student that's struggling, might have lost their part-time job, maybe has a car, needs a repair, there is money now. Half of the $40 billion will go to students. That's a lot of money to make sure that we help our students. And from there also, we added another $7.6 billion for broadband connectivity, because again, and we need to do a lot more on broadband, because we know we need broadband on it, and we'll want to make sure that we work with USDA and other folks to make sure that we get here in Stark County what we need to do more. So, Mr. Gomez, we can talk about this and follow up, Judge, on this, and mayors also about this. This is going to be very, very, very important. We also added monies for veterans also. There's some monies for veterans also, but monies for emergency rental assistance, monies for homeowners, and finally money for SNAP and WIC, school lunches, Meals on Wheels, and other things that we provide assistance on. But let me now go into the part of monies for the cities and the counties and the states. As you know, he's very straightforward where he was, just the facts. Trump and President Trump and the Republicans didn't want to give money to the cities, counties, and states. They said, oh, New York and California. Well, the problem with that, there's other states besides New York and California, like I said, Texas or Arizona or New Mexico, whatever. There's other states. So finally, under this budget reconciliation, what we only have to do is 50 plus 1, we were able to pass this. And I can tell you that all those people that fought it, they're going to take the money. Once the money comes in, they're going to take the money. So we added a large chunk of money for cities, counties, and states. The Republicans say, oh, we don't want to do for the pensions and all that. It prohibits cities and counties and states from putting money in pensions. Actually, we did that on a separate thing, but that's a separate thing that we'll talk about later. But monies that come into cities and counties cannot be used for a pension. It cannot be used to lower taxes also. And there's certain guidelines that we'll talk about. The state of Texas and, you know, people complain, but I'm sure that my more conservative friends are gonna take the $27 billion. Out of the 27%, $27 billion, about 16 points, a little bit over $16 billion goes to the state, and then the $10+ billion will go to the cities and counties. So let me, before we do some of this, let me give you some, you will see the guidelines here, and let me just go over some of the guidelines. So we're still waiting for the treasury, but if you are a city of 50,000 and above, then you will get the money directly from the federal government using a modified community development block grant formula that will be sent directly from the treasury to the treasury, from the treasury directly to the cities and the county directly. If you are below that, then populations of 50,000 or below, then it'll go through the state, but it has to be provided, once the state gets the money, within 30 days, they should be sent, distributed to them. You saw what the state of Texas did, right? Oh, show us invoices, oh, do this. They made it very, very difficult. With all due respect, they made it very difficult. So now, within 30 days, they have to give you the money, but if there's an extension or there's some sort of issue, not more than 120 days since the state gets the money itself there. The school districts, again, you saw what the state did last time. We sent them under CARES Act $1.2 billion. What did they do? Talked to the commissioner personally on the phone, and he says, well, Congressman, you didn't tell us we could not supplant. And I said, but it was to supplement. He said, well, the language doesn't say supplant. You can't do that. So they stayed with the money. They did. They did. And, you know, we were rushing putting the CARES Act 1 under emergency, and the state took it back, quite honest. I mean, eventually it'll get here. The state is not going to have a deficit because of the federal government. They complain about the federal government, but all this money, I'm sure they're not going to return it back. I promise you they're not going to return it back. And under the monies for the schools, the monies will be sent directly to the state. 90% of that money has to be sent to the local, so the monies that we have here, it's a 90%. The 10% commission by the state has already been taken out. So the monies that we're announcing here is the 90% on it. And they are required to give the allocations to the school districts, quote, on an expedited, timely manner to the same practical, not later than 60 days after the state gets the money. So we put some things there for the state because we, with all due respect, I hate to work at the state, but there's new leadership there, what they did to us. Quite honestly, to the cities and the counties where I had to call and beg the money, hey, 20%, where's the 80%? You saw that. How long did it take you to get the 80%?
We still haven't got it.
You still haven't got it yet.
Well, we've got most of it, but not all of it.
Yeah, and see, this is the problem with the state. We didn't put any strings to them, but they are making that, have made it very difficult. Some counties or cities have got their full 100%, and some are still working on it. So what we did here is we said, you gotta send this money directly on that. So again, I'll get you all this details, and we're still waiting for the treasury, but we put certain things where they have to drop it off to the schools quickly. You saw the time, and to the cities. We put some guidelines so we can get them over to y'all as quickly as possible. So please work with me. Some of the guidelines are there. I got some other ones here. That's what I was reading right now. And we'll get the rest of the guidelines. We'll work with you to get you the money. Because if you look at the amount of money coming down to Stark County, you're talking about $97.5 million. And you're talking about Stark County getting $4.5 million, Rio Grande City getting 3.1, City of La Gloria 370,000, City of Roma 2.5 million, City of Escobar is $560,000 coming in. The Rio Grande Independent School District will get $42 million. I'm sorry, I was reading, yeah, $42 million. Actually, the total amount is a lot more than that, but what we're looking at here is Roma gets 35 million, San Isidro gets $913 million. Large numbers of monies going to the school districts itself. Kids, you got to invest. And we put timetable on that. So why don't we do a couple of checks on it, and we'll do this. We might have to look at this. So why don't we start off with, somebody want to help me get?
Congressman, one quick question. When you said the city is over 50,000 population, what about county?
That should be the same,
50,000?
50,000.
So then we should get a direction as far as.
Yes, that is the plan. I think the math is off, but it's still good. We'll start with Stark County. I don't know who you want to get up here.
If it's money, I'll take it.
Yeah. I don't know who else is here on behalf of the county. All right, well, it's you, Judge. You're the main one. Again, the $12.5 million. Yes, and we're smiling.
Commissioners here.
City of La Grulla. City of La Grulla. Over here. Okay. All right. So, well, Roma and then Escobares. Who wants to go first? Escobares? Okay. Let's do Escobares first, Mayor. City of Roma. City of Roma. They're not here, it's gonna go to. City. Okay, so we'll get this over to, I think Nick is calling somebody right now. Let's go to the school district, San Isidro. I gave a commencement speech, San Isidro, and it was pretty cool. Right. You got one of your work members? bounce, so it's good. Yeah, I was looking for the bounce on that. All right, Rio Grande, LISD? ISD, should I say? I'll be the vote. Roma, Independent School District. That pretty much, that pretty much concludes it. I'll be happy to take one easy question from anybody. And the amount doesn't include the, of course, money for the school district. It's a lot more than that if you look at it. The school district money is a lot of money that we got there. But pretty much, I think it does, right? There's no one to check. So, I'm sorry?
I have check envy, you don't have for South Texas Health?
That is a separate fund
Okay.
that will be coming in, the $40 billion. So we'll do a separate presentation for Rose.
We get 77 million, so I'll wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a large amount of money coming to South Texas College. Wait till y'all see that. It's gonna be really good. Any other questions? As I mentioned, we're hoping that there will be an infrastructure bill, so we can talk about infrastructure for South Texas. So this concludes it. I'll take one easy question.
Congressman, where will the international bridges between Texas and Mexico go?
Yeah, and thank you for that question. I've been pushing that very, very hard. I did talk to the Secretary, Mallorca, last week. I talked to his Undersecretary with Health. They said they're looking at it, so we're hoping that this will be done quickly. What I told them was, I don't think it's fair that undocumented people come into the U.S., but legal visa holders from the Mexico that want to see families or spend billions of dollars. I mean, as you know, they can't spend over $19 billion in our community. They tell me they're working on it. So we're gonna keep pushing them to open up as soon as possible. You can't open up the U.S. without opening up our borders.